Okay, welcome everybody to, I think this is week 4. Is that right? Week 4 of the Gold Senior Gold Selection Training Group. So I want to welcome all of you guys to this training. Again, the purpose of this is to help as many people. Hold on one second. Let me go check our internet. Hold on one second. Okay, we got the hamster wheel internet connection doing what it's supposed to do. I think we should be fine here. So anyway, again, what I wanted to say is that the purpose of this call is to get as many people. I went through the gold training, the gold school a couple months ago, and I was just really impressed by what Plexus is doing. And I thought we need as many people to come to this training as possible. So my thought was, we're going to do this group and try to help as many people get to gold, senior gold, or re-rank gold, senior gold, so that they can go to the training, because it's just excellent stuff, excellent stuff. So that is what we are working on. So we are going to get started. We're going to go back to our winning day, the 7 steps of our winning day. That's what we've been working on all this time. So we're going to continue to just do the same thing. Again, the idea is consistency. The idea really is doing these things on a consistent basis, because that is what will build our business, is the consistency. Some of the things that we've been talking about in some of our other coaching calls that we do, we talk a lot, it seems like, about burnout. And so I want to talk about that really quick. Where does burnout come from? Burnout, from my experience, is not a result of doing Plexus work. Burnout is waiting to the end of a contest, or waiting to the end of the month to do Plexus work. That's where burnout comes at. Burnout does not happen when we're consistent, when we're just slowly plodding along and doing our steps each day, and then being done with it for the day and moving on to the other things we have to do in life. When we do that, and we do it on a consistent basis, burnout does not happen. Has anybody else experienced this? Am I the only one that has experienced this with my Plexus business, or have you guys experienced the same sort of thing? Yeah, exactly. So that's been my experience. So if I'm consistent, I send out messages, I'm doing coaching calls, I'm doing all the things for my business. I do it on a regular basis. I just don't find myself becoming burnout. Now, if there's a 3-month long contest that Plexus is putting out, and I wait till like 2.5 month mark of the contest, like, oh no, I've got to send out 1,000 messages. Yeah, that gets wore out. But you get wore out and you get burnt out when we do that. But really, it's not the Plexus work that's making us burn out, because we all like to help people. That's what we do. We're at our best when we're helping people. It's what we want to do. So it's not the Plexus work that's burning us out. It's the lack of consistency. It's the inconsistency. And what I've learned also from myself in my own business is that when I'm inconsistent, I take time off or I take too much time off, getting back into the flow of things is really hard. It's really difficult. And it seems like I lose when I have done that in the past. It seems like I lose confidence also. I'm like, oh man, I don't know what to say. Well, the truth is, I've been doing this for 7 years. I know what to say. It's just you get out of the routine and you just kind of lose a little bit of confidence. So another thing that I've learned is that consistency actually builds confidence. When you do the same thing every day, it just becomes part of your routine. You just have to bang out your stuff, whatever that is, to do your Plexus work, and then you're done. And if we do that on a consistent basis, it really builds confidence. It really does. But the inconsistency, really in any area of life, it does not build confidence. It builds chaos. Because you're running from one thing. I got to do a whole bunch here, and I'm running over here. I got to do a whole bunch here. And it's kind of chaotic. Inconsistency breeds chaos. Consistency breeds confidence. So that's just one thing I wanted to share really fast. Now I want to hear from you guys, you girls. I guess I say guys a lot, but I'm the only guy on this call. So the one thing I want to hear from you guys, girls, whatever. What should I say? Guys, girls, people, you human beings on this call. So whatever it is, whatever you want to be called. If I say guys, just like translate that into whatever you want to hear. Like that's cool with me. So so I want to hear from you. How are these steps going? How's consistency going? If you are being consistent, how is that translating into your business? How's that translating into your confidence? How's that helping you in your conversations and signups and follow-ups? If you're being inconsistent, really, let's just dive into why. Let's just find out why and how inconsistency is translating into your business success or lack of success. So somebody jump on and tell me how things are going. What do we got?
I'll talk.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm making applesauce.
Perfect.
So I think for me, what I've noticed is that it's helping me, especially the 7 steps, is helping me kind of order my day. So like before I'd be like, oh, I don't remember who I had messaged, and I don't remember like where I would have a hard time remembering where they were in the flow of things. And being consistent in doing the 7 steps is helping me to know, well, just yesterday I did this with this person, so now I know today I've got to do this. So it's helping me stay on track a lot more. And I think that I'm being a lot better in my follow-ups with like new reach outs, as well as like my new VIPs. It's helping me to do a better job of taking care of them or moving on to whatever the next step is. The one thing that I am still kind of struggling with, and I know it's a mindset issue, for me, it's a scarcity issue, is that I feel like, oh, I don't have anybody new to talk to. And I know that's not true. I have like 800 friends on Facebook and I have not talked to all of them. So I know that's not true. I struggle sometimes with like starting the conversation. And I know that the sowing seeds for later is part of that. That is the part I need to get a little bit better at who did I comment on, or what group was I commenting on, or who was I engaging with in that group, so that I can like go back and move on to the next step. That's the one part I'm still struggling with. But as far as the rest of my stuff, I feel like the consistency has really helped, and especially having that kind of like outline every day to follow has really helped me be more consistent with that.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great. And it does help. You know, I'm a checklist guy. Some people aren't checklist people. I love checklists. Like I add stuff to the checklist that wasn't even on the checklist just so I can check it off. If I enjoy that. Like it does something for me. So that's how I roll. As far as, okay, so I do have a question. So as far as it helping you to stay on track and all those things and to remember who maybe you reached out to and who you need to follow up with, are you journaling all this or notebooking what you're doing? What kind of system do you have in place, Carissa, for that?
I don't really have a system. I think what's helping is because it's been consistent, is they're all in my messenger, they're close to the top. And I'll scroll down a bit, like, you know, to the last 3 days or whatever. And it's just easier because they're there. It's harder for them to fall through the cracks because I'm doing it. I know that I need to be better at coming up with a system for like, I think a journal would be good, or I still am working on figuring that part out.
Okay, no, these are all good things. We're celebrating the victories. We're not going to get perfect at this overnight, but we'll get perfect by keep making steps in the right direction. So I applaud you. I think that's great. One thing that you will find though, as you start, as we're doing these 7 steps, the amount of conversations is going to grow over time. So maybe not here in the first 30 days or first few weeks will we notice that, but over a period of time, the amount of people we're having conversations with will grow. So we want to have some sort of system in place to where we're writing down who we're talking to. Some people like to put it on their phone or notes or whatever. I'm a notepad guy. There's not a right or wrong way of doing it, but at some point you'll probably have to transition for a couple different reasons, because people will start to slip through the cracks if we don't write them down. And plus, I have found, like, if you look, I put my brain right here on that board. That's like a 6 foot tall whiteboard. I don't know how wide it is, 4 foot wide or something. Then I don't have to think about it. Like my mind is free from all the jumble. It's like the paper, the notebook paper or my whiteboard tells me what to do for the day. I don't have to spend all this time and energy remembering everything. Does that make sense? So as you're developing all these conversations, as you guys are talking to more and more people, as you're reaching out, and then you have to follow up, be writing down who the people are, because it's easy to let them slip through the cracks. As far as the struggle goes that you were talking about, let's cover that real quick. I think one of the things is you diagnose the issue because you're saying I don't have very many people to reach out to, which isn't true. So the first step is I always ask when I'm struggling with something, is it true? And that right there, whether it's true or not, tells me what to do with the struggle or with the thought, right? If it's true, okay, then let's get to work on it. If it's not true, let's replace it with something that's true. Let's replace it with a thought or a word that's actually true. So for you, the real truth is, no, I do have people to reach out to. I have 800 friends on Facebook or whatever. How do I go about reaching them out or reaching out to them? And one thing too, I just want to say, as you're reaching out to people, any of us really, there is a matter of making the reach outs, right? But let's not be so mechanical. Like, let's be more fluid in light of who to reach out to and when. Like, really, even before you do reach outs, take time, put both feet on the floor have quiet. It doesn't have to be an hour long of quiet time. And just be quiet. As you prepare to reach out to people, breathe, just relax, right? Don't be pressured, because that does, if we're pressured and anxious and all those things, it does translate into our message. It comes through in our voice. It comes through in what we type. It comes through in who we reach out to. If we're hurried and we're rushed and we're stressed and we're under pressure, we will never reach out to the scary people. We'll reach out to low-hanging fruit, right? We'll reach out to Aunt Susie and we'll reach out to Uncle Carl, because they'll always say yes, right? And so, but before you reach out, rather than being mechanical, I got to reach out to 3 people today or whatever, take some time and be quiet. Just be quiet, right? The scripture is very clear. You have not because we ask not. Ask. Who should I reach out to today? Who needs what we have to offer? You might be surprised at the name that comes to mind. And when that name comes to mind, act on that, because I think timing is very, very important in this business, especially when we reach out to people. I think timing is critical. So just try to develop that or some sort of system like that when you're doing reach outs. And that way we're more fluid and not as mechanical. Anyway, that's just a thought. That's something that's been helpful for us throughout the years. Yes, Roberta.
Okay, I was trying to unmute. Before I lose my thought on what you were just saying, if I could say something, is when you were asking, like when you sit down there and you pray in your quiet time and you ask God, who do you feel needs me to help them? And I do that as part of my morning, scriptures and my morning routine and everything. I ask him that, and I do this throughout the day too, but in the morning, that's one of my things. And this one girl, her name comes up every single day, whether it's because it comes up every day, it keeps coming up every day, but it comes up. There's this one girl and it keeps coming up every day. So I've asked her several times, I've shared things with her and she's just like, I'm not ready yet. She's not said no to me. She's just always, I don't think it's for me. And stuff. So anyways, the other day when, cause like I say, her name keeps coming up every day to me and I haven't bothered her, cause she's on my Facebook feed. So she sees my stuff and everything. And we ride horses together, so I don't bug her all the time. But the other day I told her, I said, look, I've got to let you know. I said, because she's a very spiritual person too. She's very spiritual. I said, I've got to let you know that every morning when I talk to God and when part of my ritual, my routine is to ask him, who do you feel I need to reach out to that needs this today? I said, he tells me you every day. He keeps telling me your name is on top of my list every day. I said, so I just want to let you know, I'm thinking about you every day, whether you want me to or not. So I didn't say anything about plexus that morning. I just told her, I said, I think about you every day. And she says, oh, and that's so sweet, and things like that. But, for some reason, he keeps putting her name in my face and I wanted her to know this. And, we might get there yet.
Yeah, I think that's great. And the cool thing is there's no pressure. Like
yeah,
there's no pressure to perform in that situation. And the cool thing is here's the cool thing about reaching out to people. You have to reach out to people with truth and honesty. And that's exactly what you're doing when you say, hey, I'm just letting you know, this is your name keeps coming up. And the thing about that was probably easy to actually say to her because it's true, right? And so again, when you're reaching out, be more fluid than mechanical. Don't be like a robot. Just who do you feel like, who comes to mind, right? Who's on your heart? Who do you know that you could actually help? And then act on reaching out to those people. Reaching out to let's say 10 reach outs to people who actually need what we have I think can be more profitable than reaching out to 1,000 people that you bang out just on mechanical, no connection, no emotion reach outs. I mean, so carefully placed and carefully timed reach outs are critical. I think they're important. And when those names come to mind, act. Don't wait, right? Act on that. Who else has something? I want to hear how this winning day, how consistency or inconsistency is either helping or hurting your business goals. Amber, what do you got?
I wanted to talk before I had another child come in. I'm in child watch, just to clarify. I have struggled really badly with consistently. And I want to say these sheets have been my best friend. I literally have my leaders listed out on the leader sheet, but Carissa, I don't know if you and I have talked about this, but the follow-up checklist that was printed out for the Rubies on the Rise and the accountability, I thought it was for following up with people first time reach outs. So when I actually was writing down names, had a whole list of names written down on my first page. And then I realized it was said like things like tagged and welcome post and week 1 check-in. And I was like, wrong paper. But I literally scribbled out the top and I put samples sent, video, product ingredient info. And then I've got check marks for the people that have asked those questions and I've sent stuff to. So I know what I sent them and I kind of know where I'm at with them. And that has like helped me tremendously. And then I realized the other day, I was like, oh, I forgot to put that name on there. But the checklist has been so great. And Justin, what you said at the beginning about burnout, and it clicked. I was like, I've done that way too many times, way more times than I realized I would have liked to have done it. But like I reach the end of the month and I become frantic. And then I send out very needy, very desperate sounding messages. And one thing I realized last night when I was sending out happy birthdays before I went to bed, I was behind on the 8 ball yesterday, I guess. But I realized I started to send some of them the sample, like I send out little birthday samples as a little gift or whatever. And I started to do that. And then I realized that 2 or 3 people that I don't know them. I have never connected with them on Messenger at all. So I literally sent the happy birthday. I hope you had a fabulous day. What did you do to celebrate? And I always make sure I check their Facebook pages first. But I've also realized because I'm here at the gym, I'm now working in childcare, I'm meeting all the parents. And I was able to connect friendship wise, and I'm building relationships. And I was sitting here as you were talking, and I was thinking through the amount of parents that I have begun to connect with and create relationships with. And like, I might take a picture of their kid and then I'm like, hey, I can send this to you on Messenger if you'd like. And I realized in my list of 7 steps to winning the day, I'm like, that's connection. No, I'm not doing it on Facebook, but it's still connection. I realized I'm like, I'm in child watch from 8:30 to 1 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the evening. How many hours is that of connecting constantly? I mean, I may have 15 kids in here. That's 15 different parents. And it's really helped me to just breathe and do like you were saying, just take a moment and let those people, let my connection with them be not about plexus. And it was like, I just mentioned getting my gut health in order last night to a lady that I've been connecting with. Her 2-year-old little boy comes in here to childcare. And I've connected with her on Facebook, and I've mentioned the gut health aspect, but I've never mentioned what I take, what I've done, or anything. I'm just building that connection. And last night we were able to talk about something that was not plexus, but is also a reason I'm taking plexus, but it was in a totally different genre of conversation than normal. And it was really amazing, because I feel like with this consistency, with being on in this gold accountability and going for gold, and just everything you're teaching, I feel like the dots are finally connecting. Does that make sense? So that's kind of where I'm at.
Perfect. So the inconsistency that you say you struggled with was prior to this. You're not struggling with it currently. Okay, cool. Yeah,
I still do struggle with it, because I kind of fell off the bandwagon for several days, but it wasn't as long as a set of inconsistency. It weren't in as many days with inconsistency as there has been in the past, because I was able to go back to my sheet and be like, okay, what do I need to do first? And I've been posting every day for the past week, and I feel like that's a huge accomplishment, because I was struggling with what to post, but finding out. And I think Chris, was the one who sent it to me, something about sunsets. It was hilarious. And it was Chris, and she's laughing. And it was like, it was a little meme thing about sunsets, and since I've made that my niche, I've also made it a point of, I'm in childcare every evening. I have a perfect view. Yesterday, the picture I posted I don't know, before I went to bed last night, I think it was in the wee hours of the morning, actually, because I got in bed around 1 o'clock, but I have a perfect backdrop. So if you all go to my page, I think that post is public, but it's a sunset taken literally through the fence, and I can get one every night, because I've been here till 8 o'clock every night, and it's perfect. And like, I don't have to go search for a spot or hope I'm in town, because at my house, I'm surrounded by trees and I don't get to really see the sunset. But the fact of the matter that I have that opportunity to continually create my niche and fine tune my focus. And I'm always doing at least 1 or 2 scriptures with a sunset as my regular posting. And, God's just been dropping content. He literally, I did a video on the plane coming back from Columbus that I never thought in God's green earth I would share with anybody, but just for friends. But God just like, I was reading my Bible, and God's like yesterday morning, and he was like, that needs to be a reel, and here's what you need to say. And I was like, oh, okay. And I wrote it down. I've got it written on the paper, and that's my next reel I'm going to make. So I don't know. God's really been dealing with me on things, and I feel like I'm just growing, not just in the plexus business, but in every aspect of my life. And God's just really been helping me to be more consistent and go back to the paper.
Right. So, I mean, the cool thing about plexus is, from my experience, is that there's so many things I love about plexus. I love the products. I love the compensation plan, the people, like all the stuff. But one of the things I like the most is who it's helped me to become. And it's helped me to overcome certain fears, certain health issues. All of these things that we're talking about really translate into everyday life, and from my experience. And so I just enjoy who I'm becoming, kind of like what you're saying. It's like, I think that's one of the coolest things about it. And all these issues that we talk about are really issues not just in our plexus business, they also show up in other areas of our life. The inconsistency, the fear, the whatever. It's not like it's just a plexus issue for us. I think that these are issues that show up in plexus, and we finally get to see them. But the really issues that we're dealing with in other areas of our life as well. Like my coach says, and I don't know if I agree with him or not, but he says it anyway. Who you are anywhere is who you are everywhere. And another thing I heard about the other day was the grass is greener on the other side because you aren't there. So like if you were there, it'd probably look like exactly where you're standing now. So like the issue really isn't the grass, it's probably us, right? So but yeah, so these issues that we're dealing with that are come up in our Plexus business are probably issues we have in other areas of our life, whether it's exercise or finance or relationship, whatever the issue is. So yeah, great stuff. Let's see. And those sheets, again, as you're talking about, and you adjusted those sheets to fit to your own system, it's totally fine. Like Tarl and Alec don't care if you change the title or the headline, they don't. Like, they won't even know. So like just putting your brain on paper has been an extremely helpful tool for me. And so, and then the paper just tells me what to do. I just obey the paper. Like, and I don't have to remember everything all the time and be so jumbled in my mind. So as you're writing those sheets down and the follow-ups and all those things, again, this is the second time we've talked about this today, getting your brain on paper and in some sort of system that works for you. It could be big and pretty and beautiful. It could be a wadded up piece of notebook paper, whatever, 3x5 note card in your pocket, whatever it is for you. Start adapting or adopting some sort of system of writing things down. Who else has something?
I can go. I've got room for improvement with consistency, but I have been better, and it's helped having the list. I feel like my mindset has been better, and I moved one customer to a VIP. I signed up another VIP this week, and then I have one who's supposed to be signing up next week. And that's the most growth I've seen in probably 6 months. So that's good. And I'm not done yet.
And I think this is great. So one thing I want to point out, when we develop a system or when we decide we're going to be consistent, sometimes we'll see some growth at the beginning, but sometimes it takes time. It's kind of like a garden. You have to be in the long game. Like the first step talks about sowing seeds for later. That's like a long game approach, right? We're not pressured into like closing everybody we meet. That's not how you win at this game. What we do, like Amber was talking about just a few minutes ago, it's the connections. Like people that are really killing it in this business, there's a couple of different categories, but the one thing I've noticed is that the people that do really well in this business, and they do really well for a long time, are people that have been great at connecting throughout most of their life and who have solid relationships. And the team that they build is from those relationships and those connections. Now, there's a whole Instagram Wild West sort of an approach where you can there's people signing 20, 30, 40, 50 people a month, but as fast as they come, they drop. So that's a totally different animal. But what I've seen in network marketing is connection is key. And the people that have done really well in Plexus and they've been doing really well at the top for 10 plus years are people that had great connections or are very good at developing and connecting with people. So that's critical. And so the point is, it takes time. So we're in the first 4 weeks now of this Senior Gold kind of training. And there will be some wins we're going to see along the way, but fruit will probably come even at a later date of continuing to be consistent at making connections, reaching out, following up, those sorts of things. So good for you, Linda. Good job. Who else has something they want to share with us? How either consistency with this or inconsistency is affecting your business, your attitude, all those things?
Well, I've been working really, really hard at being consistent with my mindset and my growth. I had this month, in fact, next week will be my 5-year anniversary with Plexus. And when I first started, I started for like everyone else, for the products and for the health. And I kind of, because God opened the door for and like put Plexus in my lap randomly and suddenly, when I was so desperate and bedridden and I knew it was from him, I was like, I'm going to walk through every door that's open for me. So when the business door opportunity opened, I just walked through it blindly, not even really wanting to do the business. And in the beginning, I was like, I am just, so focused on my health and my son's health. And I'm so thankful for this. I'm going to obey the Lord, and I'm just going to. So in the beginning, I had no team. So I did 5 to 10 reach outs a day, first thing in the morning, and then moved on. And I honestly was thinking that I would do that. My son was 7 at the time. And I'm like, and he's my youngest, and I'm homeschooling. And I'm like, I'm going to do that until he graduates from high school. And then I'll do this as a business. That's what I was thinking. So I'm like doing 10 to 15 reach outs. I had nothing to lose. But I went silver in 4 months. I went gold in a couple of years, which I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't even expecting to go silver until my son graduated from high school for some reason, because I just didn't understand. But then as my business started growing and I started getting teammates and business builders, I feel like I started getting inside my head. And it started like before, it's like I had nothing to lose. I could reach out. And even though I still struggled with mindset, I almost feel like my mindset was kind of, because I wasn't dealing with some of the negative emotions that come up with when your team grows and you're putting yourself out there. I wasn't really knowing how to deal with those negative emotions and all the things that came up with that. And so I feel like I was stuffing it away, avoiding it as much as possible, but you get to the point where you just can't keep avoiding it anymore. If you either quit or you deal with some things. So I feel like I've come to a head because I feel like I've just been avoiding so much. I'm trying to navigate and do my business while avoiding uncomfortable situations. And I've been stuck at gold, which I'm so thankful that I am stuck at gold, because I never even expected to be here. But I'm so ready to be senior gold. And I realize that I need to work on some things. So I have been really focused on what I'm thinking, navigating through negative emotions. And I literally have been telling myself to just pretend. Because I resist so much doing the work because I'm so afraid of what's going to happen, like negative, if somebody responds negatively or, I feel rejected or something. I have so much built up so much fear that I'm literally paralyzed. And I'm like, I don't want this. I know I can do a good job in this. I know I can grow a team. I know I can, I can overcome this. So I have been really consistently working really hard on, focusing on my thoughts, navigating through negative emotions and not trying to avoid things, but still being consistent in my business. I don't want to set my business aside while I do this. I still want to do it. So what I've been doing is I'm just going to pretend like I'm a diamond, and I'm going to look at my back office and I'm going to do my reach outs and just pretend and navigate all through these feelings and stuff. So I've actually been enjoying my job more. I've been doing the reach outs. I still find myself resisting and avoiding and stuff, but I'm instead of beating myself up over it, I'm just cool, you're still avoiding and you're still afraid, but I find that I do it anyway because I have this thing of where I am pretending. So I'm okay, I'm not going to do any reach outs, but I'm going to pretend like I'm going to do reach outs. I'm going to get my list and I'm going to pretend but then I end up doing my reach outs. And I mean, it sounds really silly, but it's almost like I'm playing this game with myself because I'm okay, I've been battling this for 5 years. Let's do a different approach. So let's play this game and pretend Like you're a diamond and you know what you're doing, you're going to do it and you're not going to do anything. So you don't have to be scared. But then when I get it all out and I do it, I actually do my reach outs. So, and I have been keeping in touch with really, really well with with my customers and my VIPs and my ambassadors, because in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to lose any of the work that I've already done, which is probably why I've been maintaining gold, is because I've been really pouring into that. But because I feel more relaxed about it and not so like, oh my gosh, I'm going to say the wrong thing and scare everyone away. And I just feel more relaxed. I feel like God's been giving me creative ideas on how to keep in touch with them and saying different things to them instead of, sometimes I feel like I'm just repeating myself. I'm just on repeat just because I'm so afraid of losing them. But I feel like I have more creative ideas and things to say. So I feel like I'm more relaxed, but I'm kind of taking a whole different approach than I have in the last 5 years. And I'm having more compassion with myself and saying, you know, just telling myself I'm okay and I'm doing a good job and I'm going to be okay. And let's pretend, let's just pretend like everything works out. Oh.
No, you shared a lot of stuff. We could do a whole call on, we could probably do a series of calls on dealing with the emotions of network marketing. Like, I don't think anybody just gets to anywhere. Silver, gold, senior gold, senior silver, diamond, without dealing with emotional things. I mean, this can be an emotional business. And you mentioned several different things. You talked about negative emotions not being dealt with, and you used the word stuffing. And so I want to touch on this really quick. I think it's important to deal with, if you have a certain feeling, I'm not saying we should be so feely that we don't perform in life. But if you have certain feelings or emotions, emotions have been given to us as a gift, right? It's kind of like a barometer. It's kind of like a gauge in our body to tell us, kind of tell us where we're at. Like if you're angry or you're sad or whatever the emotion is, I mean, those have been given to us by God. So I think stuffing those things is very unhealthy. It's because they don't go anywhere. They actually, do you know where they go when you stuff emotions? Does anybody know where they go? Well, one
And
point,
up in your organs.
it goes to your cell.
Yeah.
It stores in your cellular structure, like the structure of your cell, your very cells. Emotions can be stored there. So I'm reading this book. It is a game changer for me in light of health, in light of mindset and all these things. It's called Hope for Cancer. This is amazing. And he's got another one called Emotions and Cancer, and how it's all connected. Like we don't have like, my thoughts are over here, my body's over here, my spirit's over here. It's actually, we're here. Like it's all connected. It's very amazing. So like I said, we could do a series of calls on emotions, negative and positive emotions. I'll put that in the chat, what the name of that book was. It's incredible book. And I want to go visit their facilities in Mexico. They have 2 facilities in Mexico. One of my goals is to go down and actually see how they do their treatments. So anyway, it's just a cool thing. So stuffing, don't stuff. Yes, Roberta, what do you got?
You said they had 2 books, Hope and Emotions. Which one would you recommend if we can only get one right now? You're on mute.
Okay, it's called Hope for Cancer. I mean, obviously it's for cancer treatment. I do not have cancer, by the way. I had somebody ask me recently, you're reading this book, do you have cancer? I'm like, well, I don't think so. I'm trying not to have it. So I'm learning as much as I can about just health in general. Let's see, I'm just typing this in the chat group. Let's see. Anyway, so Jamie, where'd she go? I just had to let her back. There she is. So one thing is, as your stuff, one way to deal with these, let's say these negative emotions when it comes to reaching out, it comes to fear of man, fear of rejection, fear of failure. There's a couple things that we can do. And this is something that I've experienced myself. So let me just do a little bit of background, because so I think some people think, okay, so, you know, well, Justin and Megan are diamonds. They don't deal with stuff. Not true. What I've learned is the higher you go, the more crap you have to deal with, right? Like it just comes out. And so you have to deal with stuff. The quicker we deal with stuff, I found the faster you grow as an individual and the better your business will move forward. The faster you deal with stuff as it comes up, the faster you and your business will grow. And so I've had to deal with a lot. So from my personal experience, road to Senior Ruby was easy. It just was. I would do posts, and I had enough connections and relationships throughout my 40 plus years of life that I signed a lot of level ones, and it seemed to be not a whole lot of struggle. And then I hit, you know, Senior Ruby. And I'm like, well, heck, I'm going to be diamond in a few months. Like, this is easy. This game's easy. No, that is when the pain and like all the stuff started. Like, I really had to grow and work hard. I was at Senior Ruby for, I don't have it written down. I was thinking a year and a half. Each one of these next levels, I was there for like a year and a half. I got to Senior Ruby in like months. It wasn't long. And then all of my issues started coming out, and all of my patterns that I've been living by throughout my life started coming out, and I got a coach. And then I had to start dealing with fear of failure, and I had to start dealing with fear of what people think. And I had this, because people in my circle didn't really have a problem with what we were doing until we started doing better than they all did financially. And then they really had a problem with what we were doing, which was real. That's like a whole nother call as well on, you know, finances and stuff. But because they got issues too, right? They have issues that they're working through or not working through. But one thing I learned, I got a coach and I started talking to him, and he's been great. I actually have a coaching call with him tomorrow. So coaches have coaches too, right? And he's been great. And one thing he started to show me, I think I mentioned this last night on the coach, maybe last Tuesday night on the coaching call, is that he started to show me a pattern in my life. And what I do is, if I have a big goal and I'm almost there, what I do is I back off and self-sabotage myself. Like, I'll just quit working at it, because then at least I'm in control of the failure, right? It's just like this weird, it's like kind of this weird pattern. So I'd like self-sabotage myself and just stop doing the work or stop training. I'm like, see, I told you, I knew I wasn't going to make it. And what he helped me uncover was, I really had fear was the issue, but I was afraid of failing, not because of failing in and of itself, but I was afraid of failing because I felt like if I failed, then I'll be rejected. And what he helped me uncover was, this wasn't a plexus issue. This just manifested itself in the plexus realm of life. This was an issue that actually, as I started looking back, I started to see a pattern. And for 40 years, I have been living life this way because of fear of rejection. And And then what I had to do is uncover, well, why? And he helped me uncover why. There is an aspect of continuing to do the work, even though you're afraid, but there's also an issue. There's also an aspect of uncovering, why is this pattern? And he started asking me hard questions like, okay. And he asks the greatest questions. And I hate every one of his questions because he like pinpoints me in a corner and I can't move. And I don't know how he does it, but he has a gift. And so his question, but what he would ask me is, who else rejected you? And then now I'm like, ooh, now we're getting a little too close. Of course, I get mad at him and probably hang up or something, but then I call him back and be like, okay, well, who hurt you? I'm like, well, it was my dad. Okay, let's work through this. And then we work through all these things. And then we'd have to deal with some of those past things because those past things weren't past. They were carried to the current time. So that hurt from 40 years ago had helped me develop a pattern that I used in my life. Like, I'm going to be in control of my failure. So I'll quit working or whatever, and I'll fail, but at least I was in charge of my own failure. It wasn't something somebody else didn't make me fail. It's like this weird, I don't know if this makes sense. You might think I'm crazy, but the thing is, these are some of the ways we deal with some of these emotional things that pop up in plexus. It's not because it's necessarily a plexus issue. It's probably a pattern that we've developed a long time ago. And we have to go back to the source of that emotional hurt. That's where we deal with it. We don't deal with it now. We have to go back and we have to deal with it, and then we can move forward. And the thing is, we'll move forward to the next thing, the next issue. It's like, I don't know that we become free of issues here. I'm sorry to tell you, but like on this planet, I don't think the issues go away. We work through them and we grow so that we can deal with the next issue. That's been my experience. I've not made it to where I just sit on the beach and enjoy perfect peace and drink fruity drinks all day. Sounds good, but I just haven't. It really hasn't been my experience. So, but yeah, so as you're working through these negative emotions, when it comes to plexus, because this will hold you back from reaching out to people. This will hold you back from reaching out to that scary person. For me, I wouldn't reach out to the scary person because I didn't want to be rejected. So now that and these things still pop up for me. As a diamond who has it all together, right? Wrong, not the case. You still have to work through these things because it's just life issues. It's not plexus issues. These are life issues. And also that pattern that was holding me back and that was really causing me to not fail, because I wasn't failing. I just wasn't proceeding as far as I could. I stayed where I was comfortable, and our comfort levels grow. Like you can get comfortable at gold. You can get comfortable at senior ruby. You can get comfortable at emerald. It's still a comfort zone. It doesn't really matter what the rank is, right? And so just having to work through all those things, and I'm still working through those things, So don't stuff those things. Actually pay attention to those feelings. Pay attention to them and then work through them, or reach out to somebody and just say, hey, whoever that might be in your life, say, hey, I'm working through these things. You help me work through them. Let me ask you some questions. Let me run some things by you or whatever, and just try working through those things. One thing I'll say is that same pattern that was holding me back from emerald, sapphire, and then diamond, that same pattern was also a pattern I was using in relationships. Again, it wasn't just a plexus. So if I get to a point where I feel like a relationship is not going well, I totally ignore the relationship. Like, you're dead to me. Why? Because I didn't want to be hurt. Well, why is that? Well, because I was hurt at a young age. And so my defense mechanism was, okay, so if I see that this is going away and I sense that there could be some hurt coming, okay, I'm done with you. And I would do that to my own wife. And that was a pattern I had to recognize. And my coach helped me to recognize that. So now, as I'm dealing with things, we have 7 kids and 2 Plexus businesses and goats and dogs and cats. Like, it's chaos around here, serious. And then if I start to sense that, I have to just breathe a minute, just kind of like I told you guys before you do a reach out, put both feet on the floor, take some breaths, and then I have to think, okay, I'm acting like 6-year-old Justin here, not, I need to act like 46-year-old Justin here. It's okay. We've dealt with that thing, and I need to just sit back and breathe a minute. So again, like I've said before, all these things, all these issues that we come up or we run up against in Plexus are really life issues. They're not Plexus issues. So anyway, I think we covered enough of that to probably set up some sort of emotional hindrance call at some point. But anyway, anybody else have anything either on what I just said, your own experience, or what's going on? We have about 1 minute. We can go a few minutes over. But let's see. Roberta says she promises she'll find a way to be comfortable at Emerald. Yeah, well, comfort. Now let's talk. Okay, so let's talk real quick about comfort zone, because you can find there's a lot of things to be comfortable about Emerald. You know, you got the Lexus, Hawaii. That's a pretty cool place to be comfortable. I've been there like 6 times, but a few days of comfort is okay. A lifestyle comfort is death. Like, comfort is what they do. Making people comfortable is what they do for people before they die. We're just going to make you comfortable. Yeah, that's bad. So if you get to a point, again, enjoy the win, enjoy the benefits like of Emerald or wherever. Enjoy that, take it all in, give thanks for it, enjoy every bit of it. But if it becomes a source of comfort, be warned. Comfort's a killer. We need to be striving towards something, pushing towards something. So don't be comfortable too long.
A question for you.
Yep.
Can you be comfortable there and you're striving to maintain it? And that's what you're pushing for, is to maintain that?
You can. The best, you can write this down.
Just a question.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think you have to define comfort. I think what people think comfort is doing nothing.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about
So-
that. No, I'm not wired for doing nothing. That's
Yeah.
not my DNA.
Right. Well, I think, let me get to my favorite personal growth book, the Bible. I think the best chapter on personal growth mindset or success mindset is Philippians chapter 4. Philippians chapter 4. I'm convinced that every personal growth book are ideas stolen from this chapter. They just repackaged it so they could sell it. It's the same principles. It's all right here and it's free. So let's see if I can find it. This isn't the Bible I normally use. Talks about your thoughts. Where my other Bible is. Okay, so well, darn. It says here, I know how to be abased and I know how to abound. I know everywhere in all things I've learned to be full and to be hungry. I think that's a mindset that you have to have. It has to do with being content. And there's a lot to be content with, let's say with Emerald. but we have to learn how to develop an attitude of, I am totally full at Emerald, but yet I'm still hungry. I think it's a success mindset. Like, there's nothing wrong with having that foundation of Emerald, but you have to be both full and hungry at the same time. And I think that's
Verse 11.
Yeah, verse. So I think it's a success mindset. Yeah, you have to be full. Yeah, I'm thankful for where I'm at, proud of what I've done. But you also have to remain hungry at the same time. Because I think being too full, being too comfortable, being whatever can lead to inactivity, which then leads to death of whatever, what your person, your team, your business, whatever the case is. So Philippians 4, check that out. There's a lot of great stuff in there on thoughts, mindset. Sorry, we had some dogs. I don't know what's going on out there. Anyway, so always something here at the Funny Farm. We always have something going on. So sorry about that. So yes, what else? Anything else before we go? It's 12:04. I can go just a few minutes, but then I have to run. Anything burning on your mind?
I would say real quickly,
Yep.
you hit on it, the back to the consistency thing, which is where I struggle big, and I tend to procrastinate, so that kind of plays into each other. But the Atomic Habits book, when you read that, one of the things that stuck out big for me is when you miss 2 days in a row, it's harder to get back on track than if you just, like, my example has been my 10K steps. That's been my goal for months, of getting 10K. And then I gave myself 1 day a week that I could be under, just because it was becoming kind of an idle situation. But there have been a few times where there's been 2 days in a row, and it is hard to get back that third day to go, okay, go back. But like you said, with the sheets that we have and the tools that we have. And then I think the other part of it for me is working to change my mindset about showing up for my business like I show up for work. They're both work. And I treat Plexus like, well, I can just do it whenever. But if my boss tells me I have to be at work at 8 o'clock in the morning, I have to be at work at 8 o'clock in the morning, whether I feel like it or I don't feel like it, or if I don't want to get out of bed, or if I have a headache or whatever, like, it still happens. And so those are kind of my two big things. And the consistency was good. Again, I've had multiple days of not, just because of my other job and things here, or working on house projects and stuff like that. So I've let those things become excuses. So yeah, reminding myself constantly that 2 days in a row is going to make it even harder to get back on track. And that we just bought this house, so now I really need to be working on a Plexus income to be able to help with that also. So.
Yeah, I'll mention one thing is that, if we have a job, then there's an outside discipline that's imposed on us by a boss, by a schedule, by performance or whatever you have to do for that job. The interesting thing is with Plexus, you have to do it yourself. Like, you have to impose the discipline and the will and the work. You have to impose it on yourself. Like, you are your boss. And that's a whole nother thing to work through, right? Because then that exposes comfort, that exposes lack of discipline, lack of inconsistency, it exposes fears, like, when you go and you are your own boss, then at least in light of the Plexus world, you're really accountable to you. So that brings up a whole lot of things to work through. But I love it. It's been hard for me because I've always been an employee, and I was a very good one. But when you go into maybe doing Plexus full time, it's like, man, I can take off today. That's cool. And then before you know it, you're like a week off. It's like, whoa, I have like 100 messages I need to get back to. Okay, so then you just have to work through all that stuff, and it's a process. So one thing I would suggest is to be consistent as possible, and also be patient with yourself. Enjoy the little victories that you're seeing as far as being consistent in these things. You can be hard on yourself, but don't be so hard on yourself that you end up doing nothing, right? Because you can't do it perfectly or whatever. Just keep showing up, give yourself a little bit of grace, take the little victories that you get and run with them. That would be my advice to all of you. So I am going to get off here. If anybody has anything else, you'll have to Facebook message me. I got to go get goat feed and then go to a soccer tournament. So we got all sorts of things going on. Love you guys showing up. This is great. Good stuff. Just remember to keep going. This consistency is key, and keep going through the winning day steps. They'll all will help get you where you want to go. So thanks guys for everything. I will talk to you soon.
Thanks, Justin.
Yep, you bet.